Here you go, world. Check out the fires in Australia on the 3rd of the 1st, 2020. Check out how our Prime Minister gets roasted by the Australian public. How emergency management headquarters, new powers come into effect. Anyone in uniform must be obeyed. Personal choice gone. This news bulletin was taken from the Channel 7, New South Wales, Australia.
Right, let's go to Sunrise reporter David Woywood at Sarsfield in Victoria. David, authorities have new powers to work with.
That's right, Brett, and this is the first time that these new powers have been invoked since they came into effect after the devastating Black Saturday bushfires back in 2009. The Premier, Daniel Andrews, held a late-night press conference overnight where he declared this state of disaster, and it is pretty easy to see why.
Now listen to the next part of this story where they talk about emergency management headquarters, or as I call it, or people call it, FEMA camps, Federal Emergency Management Agencies. Forced evacuations. They can seize your property. New powers have come in where they can force you out, arrest you. Anyone in uniform you must obey. Personal choice has now gone. But like Sydney Stadium are being built as a FEMA camp. So the question is, why in the future are they going to be needing these FEMA camps? Because they're still building them now. I'll leave some links below. That's happening around the world. Is the reason they're going to need these FEMA camps in the future because of they might want to put people in there with disease? If everyone outbreaks with sickness, which was on the news story today again, talking about outbreaks of disease. Refugees flood the country for some unknown reason, like we're bombing their countries. They go into these FEMA camps. The question is, they know these future disasters are going to happen and we keep falling for the BS because we refuse to look any deeper than a news story. Everything that's happening right now with these fires has been on purpose, and everything that happens in the future is planned.
Who's at the Emergency Management Headquarters now. Christy, where does the state of disaster cover in Victoria?
This state of disaster in Victoria covers a large part of the east of the state, primarily Gippsland and Alpine regions. What that means is that authorities now have the power to force evacuations and seize properties. If need be, they can even arrest people for refusing to evacuate. However, they have said that will not be a priority.
Now, watch the Australian Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, absolutely get grilled by the public. They are furious at him. They will refuse to shake his hands. They're swearing at him, abusing him. It's absolutely outrageous. Because the truth of the matter is, Scott Morrison couldn't do anything about the fires. But what the government can be accountable for is for approving and allowing the cloud seeding and all these fire accelerants to be sprayed across Australia that cause these fires to be uncontainable, ferocious. Houses burning, everything's going up in flames because of the fire accelerants. People are taking their anger out in the government, blaming all these things, except they're not looking deeper to find out the exact reason these fires have been uncontainable and lives have been lost, houses and homes destroyed. Venture anger, sure, at the Prime Minister, but venture anger at the government for holding all these BS in place. Wake up, people. If you want to make change, you're going to have to look a little deeper.
Alex, Scott Morrison has been given a pretty hostile reception by some locals there in the fire zone.
That's right, Brett. There's been pretty sustained criticism now for quite some time of the Prime Minister's handling of the bushfire crisis, for going on holiday to Hawaii with his family, proposing for photos with the Australian cricket team at Kirribilli just a couple of days ago.
Look at that.
He felt the full force of that anger. He held a media conference in Sydney, then headed off to Cobargo, one of the worst hit towns, where there was a lot of criticism, particularly of the government's policies surrounding climate change.
Scott Morrison arrives in the disaster zone. Greeted with a barrage of anger.
Nah, you're an idiot, mate. You really are.
The Prime Minister, with wife Jenny in tow, berated by locals in the bushfire-ravaged town of Cobargo. In the face of growing fury, the PM left with no choice but to leave.
didn't even know he was coming, and I hadn't had a call from him. So to be honest with you, the locals probably gave him the welcome that he probably deserved. You know, the feeling's bloody raw, and it's raw for a reason. I mean, you know, I was here at Malua Bay the other day, and it was just hell on earth.
Cabargo is one of the hardest hit towns, also reeling from the loss of a father and son who died trying to save their home. There are scenes of devastation across the south coast. In the town of Lake Conjola, 89 homes have been lost. Locals cut off, no power, no communications, and fast running out of food, water and patience.
I had family trapped at a caravan park at Lake Conjola who they could not get out for anything. They said boats were just exploding on the water. They really thought they were going to die. It was just lucky that the caravans didn't catch on fire for some reason, but boats on the water did. That's how close to the fire they were. They're on their way home now. And as you'll see in that next part of the story, how another politician happens to be on holidays. I think this is all done on purpose. While we're venting our anger at politicians on holidays, we're not looking any deeper into the real reason the fire started in the first place. So, smart move by them.
The PM isn't the only polly that has been copping it. A lot of questions about where the New South Wales Emergency Services Minister David Elliott is. He went on a holiday to Europe with his family about a week ago. Said he was cutting that holiday short after the New Year's Eve horror, but 3 days on, there has still been no sight of him. And we're also hearing the Prime Minister about to hold another event this morning in just over half an hour's time at a donation centre in Victoria. It'll be very interesting to see what sort of reception he gets there, guys.
Tim Lester at Bega. Now, Tim, thousands continue to evacuate today. Are they going where you are to the evacuation centre or leaving the area completely?
Mom, it is, in a sense, a two-tier evacuation process here. The tourist leave zone centres, one I'm standing in at Bega, and about half an hour to the south in Merimbula, where they're asking these locals to come in this case, to an agricultural showground. And you understand why that is a perfect place for this kind of evacuation.
Yes, stadiums and showgrounds are a perfect place for mass evacuations. But as I said, in the future, why are they going to be these things? Why are they still building a Sydney Stadium ready for these mass evacuations? What's going to happen in the future? There's going to be more disasters, and these disasters are going to be planned. It's already in the making. That's why they're building the Sydney Stadiums as future evacuation centres / FEMA camps. Wake up. There's a lot of photos going around now and images of faces and things coming out of the clouds and from the fires. But it's not that amazing. This is chemical warfare. These are all the chemicals on the ground that are going up in flames. So that's why these amazing images are happening. It's because of the chemicals in the fire. Stop being amazed and wake up.